Welcome everyone, all you book lovers out there, and those who have been associated with the Valley of Words International Literature and Arts Festival. We are here today to celebrate not just a book, not just an author, but the basic human strength to survive and overcome any challenge that comes our way. And none better to give us a front row story about this fight and overcoming obstacles than Mrs. Mamta Shrivastava. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you for giving WOW the honor of launching your book. And I want to just tell our viewers that she, as she herself puts it, is not just a cancer survivor, she's a cancer fighter. So, welcome to WOW, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Your book, One Day at a Time, is of course autobiography. Do you think you have anywhere taken any leaps of imagination just to keep your readers interested, engrossed?
So I wanted to share that, this journey that I had, my tryst with cancer, this was an experience in itself. And there were so many colors to this experience that I really did not have to look for colors outside. They were all within my story itself.
Great. And of course, you, as you said, with a degree in psychology and human resources, I believe you are the director of learning and organizational development with a big company, and
Yes.
surrounded by a beautiful family. So I'm sure all the colors were just right around you, which you picked, and your story, of course, has all the colors of fight in it. So when you say that you are a fighter, not a survivor, do you think the battle really ever ends? Isn't the fear always there?
You've kind of captured it beautifully. The battle really never ends because even once your treatment is over, right, there are so many what ifs that are going through your mind. You come across stories of people who have been in remission for a long period and then suddenly cancer strikes again, and then they are again starting that battle. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. So even now, when I'm going for my checkups, then I do feel that palpitation out here. But then that fighting spirit becomes stronger with each such episode, and the battle continues, and you get strength to continue the battle as well.
Right. So when we talk of strength, you described that this book, how devastated you were when you first heard the news, and then you know you had this conversation with your son, and that kind of put you in the fighter mode. So
Yes.
could you tell what did he say? What was that one thing which completely changed your perspective of how you were going to approach your big fight with a big C?
Absolutely, I would want to share that. So when I was diagnosed, right, then I completely withdrew into my own shell, and I was dealing with my own insecurities, my past experience. I want to share with everybody that my brother and sister, who were younger to me and staying with me, also went through this fight, and unfortunately, they could not win this battle. So those things were somewhere playing upon my mind, and I was kind of thinking that this is a lost battle for me. And then I went through surgery, and then there was talk about chemotherapy, and for some reason chemotherapy frightened me even more than the prospect of getting cancer itself, right? So I was so caught up with my own insecurities. In the midst of this, I noticed that my son, who was 13 at that time, he had kind of stopped interacting with me much. I was in the hospital, he did not come to meet me. When I came home back from the hospital, then also he did not come to meet me. And then I felt something is amiss. And when I asked him, then what that child said shook me to the core. What he said is that he had seen what cancer does to people, and he was pretty sure that I was also going to go away, and he was preparing for a life without me. So he thought that it is best if he creates that distance from me from now, so it will not be very painful for him later on. This really shook me to the core, that in when I am giving up, this is what I'm doing to my son. And that is when I decided that I cannot let cancer do this to me. I have to fight it, and I did.
Yes, as you said, you are a fighter and you're fighting it not just for yourself, but in many ways for others also through your book by sharing your experience. However, we all need succor, we all need faith. It just struck me your son's name, Varenya. Is it from the
Yeah,
Gayatri Mantra? And
absolutely.
so it's a very unique name, ma'am. I mean, of course, the Gayatri Mantra is very common, but I haven't personally come across, and it immediately struck me. So, did you turn to faith in your fight somewhere?
So when this thing strikes you, it's more like a roller coaster. And when you're in the roller coaster, then all your thoughts, all your frameworks, the value frames that you've made for yourself actually go to the background. And when you're coming down, you start yelling, right, in that roller coaster ride. It's after you come down that all your frameworks come into being and you start relating to that experience. That's what happened to me as well. So when I was in that experience, I was just going through my gut feel and taking it. I've written in my book, one day at a time, but it was literally 1 hour at a time, one moment at a time. And at that time, the rallying force, or the place from where I was deriving strength, was my family, who were all rallying around me. So my 65-year-old mother, I should have been taking care of her, but she was after me every time that, okay, have this thing, eat this thing, it will give you strength. My son, my husband, who was balancing his office work as well as taking care of me. These were the things that really gave me faith to go on, that, there are people who care about me and I should not give up this fight.
You spoke about a roller coaster. You spoke about the downward slide. Which point would you think was the lowest, and what made you spring back from it?
Sure. So chemotherapy has a lot of pros and cons, right? So while it is the one thing that really puts you on the road to recovery, it also attacks your healthy cells, right? And what happens that each time you go through the cycle, the body becomes weaker and weaker. So after I went through my third cycle of chemotherapy, I had become very weak. And that chemotherapy does strange things to you, like when they inject those medicines through your veins, then the veins all dry up, they become black, and then the medicine can't go from there. So I had a central line which was inserted here in my neck, and the medicine was administered from there, and it was extremely painful. I could not move my neck around. So I was in pain, I was not very sure about what is happening, and I was very weak. And that was the lowest point, when I really felt like how easy it will be to just let go, not fight it anymore. That was the lowest point. And the turning point again was a statement that was made by my husband. And he just came back from office one day and he saw me like this, in this giving up phase, and he said, it is okay, we understand you're going through this, and we're just waiting for that one smile from you. And that smile is going to bring smiles to the faces all around you. And that's when I realized that so many smiles are dependent upon my one small smile. How can I not smile? And that turned the tide.
Wow, that's a truly inspiring piece of information. How a simple thing can give you strength to get up and fight another day, another hour at a time, as you put it. You've been,
Absolutely.
in some ways, I would say, very brave in
Mm-hmm.
coming out and recounting, writing this all down in detail.
Mm-hmm.
You will find many people who might have had their own tryst with the big C, but people are reluctant to talk about it. They are reluctant to tell anyone that I have this issue or I have been through this. What do you think stops them? Is it some kind of a superstitious feeling, or did you also experience it that I or did you always like you were okay with sharing it with your friends or with your colleagues that it's this is what I am facing?
Okay. So you mentioned about my being a student of psychology, right? So in psychology, we say that whenever you come across some such major event in life, then the first stage is that you go into a denial mode. You say that this is something that cannot happen to me, and then you slowly move to the acceptance phase. And after that acceptance phase, you move to the phase where each individual decides for himself or herself how that person is going to deal with this. I went through a similar journey. So when I was diagnosed at that time, I really withdrew into my shell. And then I found that it was causing me so much more pain because I was alone in that shell, right? There was nobody to share it with. So slowly, then I opened up with my family and found that it gave me some strength. Then I opened up to my joint family. I come from a joint family. I opened up to them, and then I found that I got more support. And that is when I realized that I really need to get all this toxicity out of my system. And how do I get it out of my system? I mean, I cannot keep telling about my insecurities, my fears, which were many, by the way, to my family, which is really rallying around me, and they are putting their insecurities aside in order to put up a brave front from me. So, how do I get it out of my system? So, two things played a major role. One was the support group, which I was a part of, and the other was writing it out and letting it all out of my system. It was like a catharsis for me where it was all coming out and I was feeling so cleansed from within. So that was my way of dealing with this. And then I thought, why not share it with people? Because when I was going through this, then I also felt the need to understand how other people have fought this battle. What was their experience like? And to give you a very small example, so whenever the electricity in our house goes, the first thing that we do is check what is happening with the neighbor. Is the power supply out in the neighbor's house as well? If it is so, then we get the feeling it is okay, we are all in this together and we'll come out of it. That is the kind of reassurance you need at that time also, that this is not something unique that's happening to me. Other people have also experienced this and come out of this. So I thought maybe if I put out my experiences in a book, it might help somebody, bring that little bit of reassurance to someone. And that was the aim.
Right. However, as you said, you accept and then you are okay with sharing it with people. But what about their perception of you? Do you think in this journey, of course, you got support, you got love, you got strength, but somewhere did you also encounter pity rather than empathy, where people kind of, are not treating you as an equal in the opposite direction? They're just kind of, because as a professional, as someone who manages family, who manages the career, you are not really looking to be, oh my god, like I'm so sorry for you kind of thing. So did you encounter that?
Yes. In fact, there is a specific chapter in my book which I have devoted to the experiences and the feelings of the people around me. So it ranged from not knowing what to say to me. So people would call up and say, "I really want to come and meet you. I feel so sorry about this," and they would be expecting that I would say, "No, no, I'm feeling down and out. Please don't come." And as soon as I would say yes, that person would disappear, and I would feel, what just happened? Where's that person gone? Right? So many a times this has happened that And I do understand it now. At that time, I used to feel very perturbed about it and very upset about it, that everybody has their own way of dealing with it. So it could range from superstition. So everybody has this feeling that, things like cancer or such calamities, even COVID, if you take for now, are things that happen to others, not to me, right? So there is that other and me divide, which is always there. And for the other, we feel pity, not empathy. And we don't realize that by feeling pity we are really putting the other person down even more. Nothing is wrong with that person mentally, right? It is just an ailment that the person has. Treat the person as an equal and the person will bounce back. That is what I do when I now interact with people who are going through similar life experiences.
Right. So, as I mentioned, of course, and you have said you had a loving family around you who literally begged for that one smile from you, and you had a career, you have a career. So, when you first got to hear this, did somewhere your priorities change, your perspective change?
Yes, absolutely. So I want to share about that one journey that I was making, that car trip to the hospital when I was going to get myself operated, right? And that was a journey which was full of, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. Will I be able to do this? Will I be able to do that? And I really, really wish that nobody has to ever take that journey. All the time we try to postpone our happiness. To give you an example, whenever we think of celebrating anniversaries, birthdays, we wait for the weekends. But if I have to have an argument with somebody, I have it like right now. I don't wait for the weekend for that, right? That's because we are so attuned to that, okay, happiness can wait. We need to take care of these disturbing emotions right now. And then a time comes when you've taken care of all the disturbing things, but now you don't have time to take care of the happy things you wanted to do. So I have turned it around on its head now and said that if you want to celebrate something, it will be right now. Arguments can wait for later. And that is how my priorities have changed.
So you started living in not just the hours, in the moments, rather.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So if we can unwrap the book and officially show it to all our viewers, how one day at a time is a good way to live.
Sure.
So let me tell all the people there who are fighting their own daily fights, whatever it is, this book is a source of inspiration, even if it's not the big C that you're fighting. The principles of fighting, surviving, overcoming challenges remain. And it's a great inspirational journey of one fighter who overcame it all. And you pick it up from Amazon. Mamtaji, would you want to read out one particular paragraph if you have something really strong, something that you think is a gist of it all, if you want to read it out?
Absolutely. I would
Or
love to do that.
please,
I
please,
would love to
please
do
go
that.
ahead.
So this is the episode that my book is centered around, and which proved as the turning point, which was the conversation with my son. And I would just like to read out a few lines from there. Should I?
Please. Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I walked out and went and sat on the sofa next to him. I held him by his shoulders and made him look at me and asked, "Tell me what is the matter. We both know that assignments, sleeping, etc. is all an excuse. You came to see me just once in the hospital. Despite my requesting you so many times, you did not even come to meet me on New Year. Why? What's going on?" He did not say anything but looked down. His eyes were bright with unshed tears. I held his chin gently and made him look at me. He looked at me unblinkingly and said, "You know already." I said, "No, I don't. Tell me." When he did not say anything, I again gently squeezed his hand. He then looked at me and said in a choked voice, "I know you will go away, like Nina Mosi and Tanu Mama went away. When I have to live without you only, why shouldn't I start from now? If I keep a distance, it will not hurt so much." I crumpled from within at hearing this. And this was the turning point in my life.
Yes, and it was, I think, a testimony to the strength of your own character and conviction that you took it in such a positive way to make it a turning point towards the upward slope of that roller coaster you were riding. So, thank you so much for honoring every one of us at WOW to give us the opportunity of launching this book. And we wish you all the very best of health and continued happiness amidst your family. And we hope that you, through your words and as an example, continue to give all of us an inspiration to live and fight one day at a time. Thank you, Mamtaji. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. It's been an absolute honor to be associated with WOW. Thank you so much.
Thank you.